Coach Dolph here. We are coming to the end of day one at the OAC Junior High event. How's the day going for you?
It's going pretty good. We have a handful of kids from Massillon Perry, and I took over the wrestling club at Perry. From Brent McBurney and me and Dave Riggs are running a club out of the Perry wrestling room, and we primarily work with the youth and the middle school kids. So I have a son who's 12, and Dave has two grandkids that are 11 and 12, and so it's fun.
You gotta score, Caden. Let's go.
I don't work with the junior high as much, but I work with quite a bit of them, and I have 3 or 4 club kids that are here wrestling, and so kind of coaching both the Massillon Perry junior high kids and my club.
So what's different? You've coached I'm sure you coached youth too, all the way through like world teamers.
Yeah.
So compare what you're thinking and how you develop a training program for a junior high kid versus someone training to make a world team.
Yeah, where it's all similar is the technique, is high percentage technique. It prevails at every level, and that's all I teach. Brandon Slay, I coached at Penn, and then he went on to win an Olympic gold, and I mean his big thing was a double leg and a gut wrench, and that's the same thing in youth. Double leg and high crotch and single leg, it all looks the same.
So how do you tweak? How is it different tweaking a double leg to a third-year wrestler versus somebody that's Olympic caliber?
I think that you get the basic skills down, and through repetition, you develop it, and then you can fine-tune it. And with Brandon, we had little tricks that depending on who's going to wrestle, to get to the same place.
He hit double legs on some pretty good guys.
Yeah.
maybe the best. Yeah. Nice. So for you, getting enjoyment out of being a coach, how's that differ from same question, but for your enjoyment out of coaching?
It's interesting because I have a 12-year-old and I'm coaching him, and so it's hard. It's harder actually coaching him than it was for me to wrestle.
Really?
Yeah, it's just because I can't control the outcome. I can't control what he does. I can only offer suggestions and hope he grabs onto it. So sometimes it's really gratifying, sometimes it's really frustrating.
He's gonna sit out, Caden.
When the kids listen, then it really makes it worth it. The difference between working with kids is trying to get them to listen, whereas with the college guys, they have bad habits that we have to try to break down and help them get to good habits. So they're listening, but it takes a little time to break those bad habits for them to grab onto what's good, and for the younger kids, it's just getting them to listen and pay attention to detail, so then they don't have to make those bad mistakes.
Thanks. So so if someone's been shooting a high crotch, has a piece of that wrong, they've been doing it for 12 years, what's the process like breaking that back down and adjusting?
Again, through repetition, you show it the right way, and then they drill it over and over and over, and eventually it becomes muscle memory, and it just takes a while.
Gotcha. Okay, so I want to go back real quick and talk about coaching your kid. What do you feel like it's like for him, looking at you as a dad, looking at you as a coach? Does he like it? Is it hard on him sometimes?
He has grown so much over the past year in that respect, whereas he put a lot of pressure on himself based on who I am, and I thought it was unnecessary, but I can't tell him that. I can tell him that, but he's got to figure it out on his own, and he's gained a lot of confidence this year. You see it #1 coming into the state tournament next weekend here, and so he's gained a lot of success, and I think through that,
get your feet on
he's
come on,
he's come to learn that he's doing it for himself, not me.
Yeah.
And I have other coaches like Dave Riggs and Brent McBurney that tell him that all the time, and they work with him, and so I just think he's really grown up in this past year in that respect, and he's learned how not to put so much pressure on himself.
Does he understand the level of coaching that you're capable of, or that you provide? Does he understand?
He does. He gets it, and he doesn't want to hear it from Dad, but at the same time he wants to hear it because he knows this makes him better. So it's kind of a catch-22.
So I asked this question earlier. My son, he's getting ready to turn 2. I hope he wrestles. What do you think, if you were to lay out like a blueprint, and I know every kid is different, but like, okay, start him training here, start him competing here, do this on the side, what would it be?
Well, my son, I mean, he was always around it. You know, I was coaching, you know, in college, and so he was always around it. And you know, I didn't really want him to compete until he wanted to. You know, and he always had fun doing it. And I think his first time competing, he was 6 years old. You know, but again, I think it's up to the kid. It depends on the individual how much they can take. And
gotcha. So I was looking out, you know, out in the concourse area. There's pictures of old results and podiums, and it's like 4 All-Americans on there, multiple-time All-American getting 5th, 6th place, super deep tournament here. Do you feel like the group that's coming through right now is like at the same place the guys that were coming through at 4, 5, 6, 7?
Yeah, I think that you know, it just the sport of wrestling has progressed so much, you know, and there's so many kids that are individualizing, and the technique is just unbelievable. At the youth level, I see these kids hitting things that the college guys are hitting, you know, and it's amazing. So I just think, especially in Ohio, the level of wrestling has just grown so much and gotten so much better.
How do you keep up with the evolution of wrestling?
You know, I have a lot of friends, and I stay in contact with them, and I actually watch flow wrestling technique videos all the time. You know, I just this week was watching, you know, Coach Ayers and Coach McNamara breaking down leg defense. You know, so I learned little tweaks. And I don't know, I just have always had a knack and an eye for it. You know, and so I just keep up with it. But also at the same time, the high percentage stuff always works and it doesn't change.
Yeah. All right. So taking away like new technique and stuff, what's one of like the newest ideas that you've learned as a coach, like that, you know, where you've developed as a coach or learned about coaching?
I think the hand fighting, the keeping your hands and feet moving and closing in the gap and getting angles and, you know, creating motion to get a guy out of position, to get an angle and get a good shot. I mean, I always had it, but I really have honed into that setup process, you know, and I think it's with our youth, it's been really, really effective. I mean, guys aren't able to stop us. And then another one is the Turk. You know, the Turk is really, I've always loved it, you know, but I've really come into fine-tuning it and showing it to these guys. And it's to a point now where people know it's coming and they can't even stop it at the youth level.
So, Blue Chip and Gons Medina, they're helping me get back going on content.
That's awesome.
I know you got a Gons story for me or anything about Gons?
Gons' left-handed headlock was lethal, you know, but I always said you either live by the sword or you die by the sword, Gons. But he's awesome. I love Gons. I miss him.
Super cool dude. Awesome. Well, it's great catching up with you. Thanks for doing what you do. You got anything else you want to share right now?
I appreciate all the hard work that you guys put in, and you know, helps us tremendously as the sport progresses. And you know, it's on ESPN and in the mainstream, and you know, I don't think we'd be there without you guys. So thank you.